World Elite going to ban away the LeBlanc here first up, focusing on Assassin. Of course, an Assassin ban for Assassin makes sense, and Cassidy going to be taken off the board just for anyone. Whoever wants to play that champion, he's pretty dumb on the 5.2 patch.
Yeah, he's very strong. Kind of a weird ban for me, given that King are on the blue side.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I can't remember that World Elite have played that much Cassidy, but I mean, it's such a strong champion. I don't mind the ban at all. It's funny that you mentioned Assassins, by the way, because Assassin actually is probably one of the biggest Xerath Azir players along with Ninja.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious, right?
But he has started playing more Assassins recently.
Yeah, and in fact, his last 3 games have been Lulu, Azir, and Ari. So actually an Assassin is there, but Viger going to be banned away actually before giving King a chance to pick it. And I very much like that. Sort of, Viger's just exploded onto the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, he's such an interesting support. He has such a good normal ability that stuns so many people for so long. If you're a good Viger player, even if you just practice his stun over and over again, he kind of just does everything you need from the support role. He's a very self-sufficient, very kind of, level dependent, and that's about it, support.
Yeah, and although you can't necessarily utilize the fact that, his AP is going to stack up if you land those Qs to pick up kills on minions, but doesn't actually matter because all you are is an event horizon.
Yeah, and a pretty interesting picker as well by King. We had quite a few bans go through, but Rek'Sai is actually left open here for MLXG.
And I love this because MLXG has been picking up the Nidalee over and over again, and King, I think it was probably Sky just saying, nah, nobody, you're not playing that again, I'm just going to ban it away.
I mean, Spirit's played it as well, so it's not a bad ban. We are still on 5.2, remember, where Nidalee is extra powerful, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's still seeing play on the current on 5.3 and other patches as well. So I do like the takeaway here. And World Elite going to take some very standard stuff, it looks like.
Yeah, Spirit looking to lock away that Lee Sin, and Yuji wants the engage potential of this Thresh, and of course, just a fantastic champion, but it is going to leave Janna available for Liam, and as sort of a very heavy disengage support player, as there is an Alistar Hobbit, so I may eat those words pretty effectively, but as a disengage player, just generally, he's very happy with that pick.
Yeah, and Lamb's other big support is, of course, Thresh, so good to take it. It's actually hilarious that we've talked so much about Chinese supports and how good they are at playmaking. Almost all of the supports in China play Thresh very well. If you can give them one champion, they'll probably take Thresh. It's the upper tier of supports in the LPL that have started playing Annie Leona, can play Janna well, but everyone can play Thresh, so you have to take it away.
Yeah, and MLXG has tried his hand at Rengar a few times. Assassin looking to pick up Ari for the second time in a row here as MLXG taking his time here, actually running the clock down very, very quickly, but it is going to be Corki managing to sneak in to the hands of Wushin.
Yeah, and I like that pick again. Corki, very good aggressive AD carry. We've seen a lot of players default to Corki, and Graves has seen a lot more popularity. Civ has actually dropped off a bit, so that would be an interesting pick up here for World Elite, especially given how much Civ Wush has played, but King already have their AD carry. Ari as well, something different, but she's very strong on this patch.
Yeah, it's been a little while since SDYZ actually picked up that Sivir. Of course, wasn't in the 7 million champions that he'd played that were unique as we were looking over. But SDYZ going to switch over and pick up Jinx again. And Ninja, once more, picking up that Anivia for the 3rd time out of his last 4 games, if we include this one.
And you know what? Ninja keeps doing this against Assassins in particular. I actually really love this pick.
And this time it's against 2 Assassins, theoretically.
Yeah, technically. I see what you did there.
Oh, yeah.
I really like it against LeBlanc. We've seen it a lot coming through for Ninja. Her Anivia's passive, despite how squishy she is, just lets her survive so much. And because if you're all in Anivia, okay, fine, egged and I'm back in. Maybe we have to play defensive for 5 minutes, but it's fine. And you do very respectable damage, especially if you nail someone with a stun.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of an assassin counter pick, and it's something Ninja is very comfortable on.
Yeah, and Wushin actually going to lock away that Aurelia here for Sky. Mentioned that incredible win rate. 100% undefeated before entering the LPL, now 1-3. So not so good. We'll see whether he can make it 2-3 in this particular game. But it does round out a pretty decent looking lineup here for King if they manage to get picks around that mid game.
Yeah, kind of interested to see that they didn't go for something maybe like Janna, but I guess this team doesn't need it for King. They're going, like you said, much more on the pick potential here. I do like Morgana Ari a lot as a combo, and especially Rek'Sai has really good follow-up CC. World Elite, though, they finish the draft.
Not to mention the fact that you have that tremor sense just to be fantastic at knowing where the enemy is and whether they're going to be checking these brushes as well. And the Prey Seeker as well for securing kills, as we have seen. But Aluka going to lock away his Mega Tank there for the top lane. Pretty standard Aluka type stuff. He loves to be on those tanky champions. And Maokai, pretty handy up there.
And this is fine from Aluka. He's, again, a very consistent player for the most part. Yeah. A lot of, I guess, criticism leveled at World Elite initially was that Ninja and Aluka just kind of played passively, I guess. Like, they're not bad players by any means, and they do often well, if not go even in lane. But that sort of thing, they never stepped up and really carried. So Ninja, again, going to take something a little different, something he can realistically maybe carry on. And Luca, he's going to have the nice, consistent, tanky frontliner.
Yeah, we'll see how this lane matchup actually goes, whether it is even going to be a thing. Of course, Aurelia, fantastic in a lane swap, and Maokai, not too bad either. You have those saplings and the passive as well to keep you healthy. As we can see, Ari versus Anivia here in the mid lane. And wait. Skill matchup?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's sort of what we always say about Ari and Anivia. Ari is definitely a bit overtuned here on this particular patch, so it's probably slightly Ari favored. But again, Ninja is very comfortable playing Anivia into these assassins. Again, assassin runs at you and you nail a stun, or even if you just put your ulti down if you're 6 and then throw an E at them, really hard for you to win those trades. Anivia does insane amounts of burst damage when she combos you.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more difficult to land that Q as Anivia if you're going to have Ari running around at extra movement speed after throwing out that orb, and as well just spirit rushing everywhere. But let's see whether one of those stuns can land as we hop onto the Rift. And welcome to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, as King are taking on World Elite for the first matchup of these guys for the night. King starting on our blue side, and World Elite going to be wearing some red pants, as Ninja is actually wearing both colors.
He is, in fact, as well. Got one of the older Anivia skins there. But again, I love what Ninja's doing with Anivia, but Ari is just really good on this patch, so we'll have to see. As always, it's a skill matchup. Ninja can't afford to eat too many charms, but Anivia has a lot of range coming from her auto attacks and her spells that you can just also stay safe in lanes. That's the other thing that's annoying about Assassins. Once Anivia hits level 6, it's so hard to try and roam against her because she's always pushing you in with Glacial Storm.
Yeah, she's going to be throwing those pathetic little auto attacks at your turret over and over again, which is pretty bothersome. As you can see, Ninja just doing so just there. Ninja versus Assassin is a pretty sort of cool-sounding lane matchup, let's be honest.
I mean, you know, ideally it would be, but unfortunately they're playing Anivia Ari here as Lamb.
Oh, not going to get stunned there, but Sonic Wave is going to find him. That was very, very close. Of course, Ninja sort of getting the woe, which is that Q. Just takes a long time to move. Yeah,
I mean, that's one of the interesting things about Anivia. It's kind of a weird skill shot. It's a little odd moving as far as actual speeds go, but it's really long range. So seasoned Anivia players know how to snipe people with it, and we've seen Ninja. He is incredibly competent on the bird.
Oh, yeah. And having played it so many times, even now, it's pretty crazy. Of course, not the only Anivia player here in the LPL.
No, we've seen, again, as always in China, some pretty interesting picks coming through for a lot of different players. But Ninja is someone that really loves his comfort picks. He'll pick pretty much whatever he feels like, and when he doesn't, he looks a little, you know, off kilter. So I do like that World Elite recognize that Ninja's the one they want to get going alongside SDYZ. In fact, World Elite should be pretty happy with their draft. It suits them very well, and Spirit is the man we need to look for early.
Oh, yeah, and we'll see whether Spirit can get around and really affect these maps, because getting a gank onto Assassin early on could definitely be helpful, and SDYZ and UJ already putting the pressure on in this lane. Of course, Jinx having that range advantage going to be very helpful.
Yeah, and this is actually... Oh, sorry, I thought it was the Sivir match for a second. It's not, unfortunately. We're actually playing Corki this time around, but same sort of problem here. Corki can trade very effectively there with Jinx, but you have to respect her ranges.
We'll see whether this early game, when Jinx doesn't have quite as much auto attack damage, whether that's going to help out, or whether Wushin just going to wait until that sort of Trinity Force power spike and use that in order to move around, maybe even away from Jinx and just kill structures and take dragons and do sweet stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if a gank comes pretty early on in this lane, that actually tips the matchup pretty quickly, because right now Jinx is okay. Corki will slowly get better as he gets more levels, of course, with the Phosphorus Storm really helping out, and SDYZ on Jinx doesn't have a good way to actually get out of the skill shot if he walks too fast, so does have to be careful in minigun form. One of my favorite things to talk about, though, is always Trinity Force versus the flat AD champions. Jinx scales so well with just basing components that up until Woosh gets that Trinity Force, unless the lane gets put off balance some way, Jinx should have an advantage kind of with BF Sword Pickaxe, and as soon as the Trinity Force happens, it flips around for Woosh.
We'll see how it goes. Actually, SDYZ eating a Phosphorus Bomb, as you mentioned, a little bit more dangerous, but Assassin going to get hit by that stun actually in the mid lane. Spirit going to miss a Sonic Wave. And that beautiful sort of off-to-the-side charm, just fantastic. Doesn't even need to blow a flash.
Yeah, wonderfully played there by Assassin. Not only charming the jungler as he came in, but perfectly juking the Q after it wore off as well. So very cool play under pressure and easily dodges Spirit's first gank. But I do like that Spirit is trying to affect the lanes early.
And actually, Assassin going to go back immediately, make sure that he's back at full health. Ninja has an opportunity now to push out this wave, but of course, before getting that Glacial Storm, as you mentioned, a little bit more difficult to shove, and I think Assassin may even be back in time to not miss anything.
Yeah, and if you're, again, super weird as a champion, has one of the longer auto-attack ranges for mid laners, so again, sort of an older champion, has a lot of quirks to her, but Ninja clearly, again, very comfortable and is playing the matchup well. It's even in CS, that's all he can ask for against Ahri.
Oh yeah, Ninja now going back, picking up that Ruby Crystal, going to be building towards that Catalyst, pick up a Rod of Ages as soon as he can. Sky actually going to find Spirit here as Equilibrium Strike going to stun him up. But he's going to use that safeguard to get very aggressive. MLXG's around here, though, but Sky, he's taken a lot of damage. There's the Unburrow to come through onto Spirit, but Sky, you're in a lot of trouble as Aluka's at full health. There's the Equilibrium Strike. He's somehow managing to turn around, but not quite, as MLXG forced to use that flash to pick up the return kill. But Spirit, what a beautiful play.
Yeah, great patience there by Spirit, actually. Not only waiting out the slow so he could get back onto Aurelia, but when Aluka came back in, he actually slightly misplayed by not getting to knock back MLXG. So that would have been maybe two possible, at least one clean kill, but instead it's a trade. But Spirit did very well there.
Yeah, really beautifully done. I mean, I liked what Sky was trying to do, getting the Equilibrium Strike, but when you're at 0 health, things are quite difficult to turn around. At STYZ are going to get a little bit more harassment down here in this bottom side of the map. Of course, First Blood going to add about 100 gold to that side of World Elite, but you have to think that gold very, very even at this stage, and that gank in the top lane not going to affect too much, although Aluka able to hang around and continue getting farm.
Yeah, so Aluka will just, I think, use his teleport. Yeah, did teleport back to the top side, so... Oh, no, sorry, he's walked back there. Picked it up. Aurelia, sorry, had to teleport back in there as well. But things are going well. Jungle choices are kind of interesting to me. Rek'Sai actually farms very well, just in general, so I like the chilling smite a lot there, just because you're not ever really worried about your clear, but it seems like Spirit is actually investing quite a lot in getting his jungle clear, because he has gone for an earlier Trailblazer.
Yeah. Quite strange. Probably wants to get that Void Rush as soon as possible. But Assassin now going to be pretty standardly pushing out this wave, trying to get into Ninja's face, of course, before that ultimate comes through. As you mentioned earlier on, Ninja going to struggle to clear these waves out, and this may give Assassin an opportunity to get around. Spirit does manage to get that Scuttle Crab, so a bit of extra vision now on the side of World Elite. Yeah,
really nice Q, actually. Didn't even need to smite there. Just kind of walked in, weaved the Q in and stole it from Assassin. Spirit's going to go in now.
Yeah, there's the wall to come through as well. Lands the stun. There's the Sonic Wave. And he just explodes. Spirit picking up another kill.
And Assassin did not respect that at all. Had his flash and his ulti. Didn't use either of them to get out of either the wall or the stun. And pays for it handsomely.
Yeah, and uses his Spirit Rush very late as well. So that's even going to be on cooldown. And very, very strange. Beautiful Phosphorus Bomb going to get a lot of damage down here as Wushin going to get Black Shielded. STYZ taking a lot of damage in this bottom side. You can see Wushin with a lot of control. MLXG trying to clear out this wave for Assassin before he comes back. Of course, this is going to give about a 200 gold advantage here to Ninja as he heads back to base. Now with that ultimate available, you have to think that that Catalyst is going to be coming through. Picks it up. Not Blasting One, not quite available, but able to swap out that Trinket. Can start helping out clearing wards here in the mid lane.
That's actually pretty aggressive here coming through from Aluka with the Blasting One. I guess he just wants to fight and wave clear a little bit better.
Yeah.
The Catalyst would definitely help with the trades, but Aluka going to take the slightly more aggressive option towards that Rod of Ages, which is what I assume he's getting here.
Yeah, and what does it mean for World Elite, the fact that they're now going for double Rod of Ages users?
I mean, there's a massive power trough there, obviously, so they're going to have to sit through, actually, a triple power trough, basically. Jinx actually carries herself quite nicely if she's even or ahead, but Corki will really turn things around when she gets to Trinity Force. So STYZ has to get his Infinity Edge on point here. He can't be, like, a minute late at all, or things are going to go downhill. And then World Elite have to wait out the rest of it. Maokai's probably fine. Ninja's actually okay as well, just because his base damage is already so high. He just really wants to be tanky rather than anything else. So it's not that bad, but World Elite have to make sure they don't get overrun in the mid game by all of the power that King have.
Yeah, and King also want to be capitalizing on this as well. We'll see whether they actually can here, as MLXG has got a lot of tunnels throughout his own jungle. Of course, you've seen he's been putting that one definitely on farm. Nothing available to be taken after this Krug falls down. So MLXG definitely powering through. Of course, actually behind in farm. Yuji going down incredibly low here on the bottom side. Aluka going to teleport in, but maybe a little bit late as Lamb. He's going to be safe, and Yuji, you have to be very careful hanging around with that low health bar.
Yeah, I mean, late for Aluka for sure, but maybe necessary there, because that was 3v2 otherwise. Maokai going to join in to make it 3v3, but Sky going to keep going. He doesn't have his teleport, so couldn't join anyway, but he's just going to safely keep farming up. MLXG will back off, and Aluka just kind of let's be honest, wasted his teleport there.
Yeah, exactly, and that's very, very dangerous. 9 minutes into this game, this is exactly the time that both of these teams want to be picking up that Dragon Spirit. Now in this top side of the map, you can see MLXG, he went back to base, now has the Chilling Smite available. So we'll see whether he can use that effectively. Does have his red buff up too, so he probably wants to pick that one up, but with Spirit up here, STYZ getting taken down so low, Soul Shackles not even going to erupt, and King able to turn around. Level 6 hits, and they use their buttons.
Yeah, and that's the danger of the Sheen Corki, basically. You eat one binding from Morgana, eat one stun at all, and everything just falls to pieces. He does so much damage, and that was the thing. If Corki can get ahead in this lane like he's done, all of the power that Jinx might have had a shot at with the flat BF sword that she just picked up is completely negated now.
Yeah, and wasn't able to use that at all. Rocket going to come through from Wushin just to try and help out. But that's going to be first Dragon going down for King off an easy kill.
Yeah, and Wushin will actually return to the bottom lane with a Phage at least that almost has the rest of the pieces. No, maybe just going to get boots instead and does pick them up. So looking good now. Phage Sheen is the big point here. And again, if STYZ had a pickaxe, this lane would be competitive. But as a result, 20-ish CS and counting down, STYZ is going to start to struggle against Corki.
Oh yeah, going to have to use that huge range of Jinx. But you have to think that in the late game, Jinx definitely has an ability, and STYZ as a player is just brilliant in these late-game teamfights. We have seen him do incredible work, but his team just hasn't quite been at a position to win at that stage a lot of these times.
No, and you're right in that STYZ will have a massive late game. I mean, his team's actually set up very well for Jinx as well. That's part of the reason I love this pick from Ninja, is that it's high damage, or reasonably high damage, but it enables Jinx so well by splitting people up, providing big zones of influence to control the map with your ultimate, and just decent CC. It's not amazing, but it's decent. So you can help heal so effectively for your AD carry, and that's all that Jinx wants.
Yeah, we're going to have a slight pause here for our teams, but you're exactly right, and things just looking frightening. Aluka in the late game as well. I mean, I think you mentioned, but he's just going to be a super tank, and you can see the teams. Of course, over in China, you're allowed to discuss everything during a pause. It's absolutely no problem at all, so going to be trying to work out their game plans and making sure that everything is in order moving forward. And I love it when you have teams like this that have two very different objectives moving forward. I mean, World Elite, they want a team fight in the late game, use Aluka being that huge frontline tank, and use STYZ doing all of that damage. But King, they've invested so much into this mid-game and into this pick comp here as well.
Yeah, and World Elite seem to play at least happiest when they are playing for the late game. So they're set up very well to do so with the team comp that they've got. But you're right, King are all mid-game here. I mean, Corki already is a big flag for, hey, this is probably a mid-game comp. But combining Ahri and Aurelia and even some of Morgana Rek'Sai as well, King really want to take over. The fact they've got the first Dragon is crucial for them, and World Elite have to stop that happening. At least the third one, they're going to have to look to contest.
Yeah, and also King just have to make sure that they've got all of the vision around the map in order to be able to take these objectives as well. MLXG now does have that ultimate on cooldown, but of course the vision control around this Dragon area is available for King. And look at the dive to come through in World Elite's bottom lane. The Dark Passage is going to be taken, but it's not enough. STYZ gets exploded. Yuje's going to follow, and King with a beautifully orchestrated dive.
Yeah, just so much power here in the King lineup. Rek'Sai doesn't even have that much health, but it's very good at diving with the tunnel, and there's so much damage here for King. As soon as one CC lands under a turret, it's so easy for them to blow through the rest of the dive. I mean, Aluka is going to get the trade here, but this is what World Elite don't want to have happen in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, that top outer turret, they knew that was going to happen. Trade it for the bottom outer very, very easily. Transcendent Blaze just going to clear out this wave, and Sky just going to head back to base, maybe complete that Trinity Force. We'll see whether he has enough money. Does not nearly have enough money to pick that one up. And there's the flash forward actually onto Ninja here. Assassin wants to complete this kill. There's the Umbrella to come down. MLXG, he gets the egg, but Spirit's here to try and help out. MLXG so incredibly low, and he dies immediately afterwards. Spirit's going to flash out. That charm was godlike from Assassin. Aluka comes around the side. Ninja somehow alive after that Dark Passage, and that went horribly wrong for King.
And an unbelievable set of plays.
Oh my gosh, that stun was incredible. The burst damage as well. The zap to come down, and Aluka says, okay, that missed, I'll pick it up.
So sick again there for World Elite, and I didn't quite remark it in the first few ganks, but there's actually an amazing amount of synergy between Lee Sin and Anivia, believe it or not. The egg form gives you a good safeguard target. You both do good damage when you land your abilities, so you can set up skill shots for each other. We saw that in the first gank there, and that was just incredible play by Spirit and Aluka, and of course the rest of World Elite coming in there as well. Ninja played that perfectly, and UJ saved them at just the right time.
Absolutely stunning. And both of these teams, both of the Rod of Ages players able to pick up that item at exactly the same time. 23 minutes going to be when that is completely stacked up. And when Maokai and Nivea both have those items, it's going to be so hard to kill them, and they'll have so much wave clear together as well.
I mean, Nivea by herself just has enough wave clear, but Maokai and Jinx both do add to that as well. So World Elite, all they want to do is buy time here. Getting kills accelerates their gold. King actually don't want to trade here, especially if they don't get objectives off the exchanges. So they got like a great dive in the bottom. They started things off well. Corki now has his Trinity Force, and it seems like Abyssal might be coming out for Assassin, and Aurelia's working on her Trinity Force as well. King in a few minutes are going to really have to power through this game, and if World Elite can turtle for a bit and hold on, they have a massive lead when it comes to the mid to late game if they're ahead.
Yeah, and Assassin now with that Abyssal Scepter almost completed. He's got a lot of AP here as well. King looking for a Luca, but that's a more difficult dive. Of course, SDYZ and UJ with a lot less health than this Aluka now on Maokai. So not going to be able to get a successful dive up here, and I think that a few members going to have to head back here as Assassin going to dodge out of the way of some skill shots here. SDYZ and Ninja looking for some picks.
Yeah, I do actually like that they seem to swap the Jinx over here as well. And if you're surprisingly good in sieges, just because you can wall people and stun them from long ranges under the turrets. Even Thresh actually picking people out from under them to set up for an Anivia stun is quite good. I mean, Jinx at this point kind of has two choices. STYZ is quite far behind at this point, given that the Trinity Force is already done for Corki. It's actually about 800 gold ahead right now for Corki. He's already got his Trinity Force. So STYZ needs to find a lane to farm him. If he can find turrets, that's fine as well. They just can't overcommit to trying to push.
Yeah, and King only now ahead because of that dragon. Everything else identical on this map. World Elite able to keep up in a position where things are actually quite difficult. You have to think that, you know, this 15-minute mark is probably the lowest point that World Elite are going to experience in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're scaling up the Rod of Ages for sure. This next dragon actually should be King's as far as the items are concerned. They have two Trinity Forces and an Abyssal Scepter, but World Elite have shown that this comp gets through its kind of dip in the mid game by having really strong pick potential. And if World Elite can get a pick and get the first dragon away from King and deny them their second, King are all of a sudden in a massive amount of trouble.
Yeah, and World Elite actually now with a teleport advantage here. Of course, Equilibrium Strike not going to be able to stun up Aluka, as he is definitely lower health than Sky. Spirit actually going to catch MLXG here. I believe he managed to take a red buff for himself as well. And he does.
Yeah, he stole that without using his smite as well, so very slick stuff there from Spirit. And World Elite are positioning themselves around this dragon. They're actually going to start it seems like. Aluka does have his TP, but Sky doesn't, so Aurelia actually has to walk a long way to get here, and that's a big mistake from King.
Yeah, and it's going down incredibly quickly here as well. Lame's just going to walk in, get hooked, and get killed as well, so just gifting World Elite exactly what they want.
And World Elite playing to their win conditions, which, to be perfectly honest, is wait. That's all they have to do is buy themselves time, and they're getting much more than that out of these exchanges.
Yeah, and it seems like King just making mistakes that World Elite are going to easily be able to capitalize on.
And this is sort of what we, I guess, say about King as a team. Their early game seems very solid. Their late game together, as far as team fighting goes, is great as well. But when they don't execute, especially on their mid-game exchanges and things kind of fall apart, King just look completely scattered as a team. And World Elite, today at least, in this game, are playing very together.
Yeah, and King just really needs to pull themselves up. And this is the point in the game when they really need to be switched on and making their comp do exactly what it needs to, because it's important for them in order to make it work now.
I mean, let's just reiterate there. King just lost a dragon with two Trinity Forces and an Abyssal Scepter on an Ahri against two Rod of Ages that are still scaling up. That should not be happening.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. Ninja actually now at that level 11 point, and his wall has a lot of points into it. So skipping leveling up that Q in order to make sure he has as much utility in these fights as possible.
Yeah, I actually like that little pickup there from Ninja. I mean, Q really doesn't do that much damage. The cooldown's nice, but you really just need it to help snipe people off or zone them out and poke them with it. It's really your E that does a lot of work. Ninja probably not going to get 5 points in wall. I think he's stopping now at 2. We'll have to keep track of that. But again, a seasoned Anivia player definitely knows how to play this one.
Oh, yeah. And of course, you often, to get that frost onto your targets as well, just toggle that ultimate a couple of times and make sure that that one's there. Make sure you can get that crit on that E. Spirit now coming around. He's going to get spotted out by a couple of wards and maybe a tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, King attempting to pressure there, but can't find much. And the gold being even here for World Elite, again, that's totally fine for them. They're even on Dragons as well. STYZ also won them that Dragon while not having Infinity Edge. Yes, Jinx still needs to power up here, but as long as STYZ stays safe and can find farm, World Elite, all they have to do, again, they just have to wait.
Yeah, STYZ at the moment is just an insurance policy. Let's be honest. He's just sort of that guy in a weird suit off to the side, just offering his help wherever needed. Orbit Deception just going to be thrown randomly into the wild as World Elite come to defend this outer turret, but it's very, very low at this stage. King wanting to try and get a little bit more map pressure down here as they've only taken one turret. World Elite now with their sort of comp in a trough, able to still put out the pressure. Yeah,
and that's been what's been so impressive about the last 5 to 10 minutes of this game, that World Elite have constantly found picks with I guess all of Thresh mostly. Big credit to UJ there.
Yeah.
They just picked people off. And King have been completely out of position and not had the vision that they'd really want here, which with a Rek'Sai is quite surprising. So World Elite just continue to play aggressive. And when World Elite are on the front foot with this team comp in the spot that it's in, King know that something's wrong.
Yeah, but Wushin now does have that BF sword as well as his Trinity Force, so going to be dishing out a lot of burst damage. And I do like the fact that he's not going for the Last Whisper as well, because that often happens and it makes me very upset.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious what Aluk is going to do with his next purchase as well. Sitting on 1,300 gold, so not a massive amount. My guess is that he's going Frozen Heart, which isn't exceptional against Corki, but if there's an Aegis coming through, probably for Spirit at some point, although right now it seems like he might be building a Randuin's potential, although he just has a lot of health is what he really wants, including the Slashdown, which is great for the early game. But if you can prevent, Aurelia especially doesn't like the Frozen Heart, and you prevent enough damage from the Corki, even though he's mixed.
Yeah, and Spirit might actually be building up to a Warmogs here as well. Just notices, okay, I can't be bothered really working out what kind of damage is going to be coming at me here, but I think it's pretty mixed. Let's build a Warmog.
Yeah, it's really mixed between Aurelia and Corki and all the magic damage, even latent magic damage coming through for Morgana. And the fact that Rek'Sai does decent damage as well, Warmogs is the single best cost-efficient choice for Spirit. You're right.
Oh, yeah, and true damage as well coming through from the hidden style. And even the Orbit Deception. So it's just well done, Spirit. Nice item choice.
Yeah, figured it out. I mean, Warmogs is a very strong first item on junglers for that reason. It's quite cheap compared to a lot of other tank items you could build, and it just does everything you want it to in the early stage of the game. Health, again, such a cost-efficient stat as it comes to just soaking damage, and if Spirit wants to be a frontliner, which he should for his team, that's all he really needs.
Yeah, that's true. And Aluka sort of has to build the Frozen Heart here. He's very dependent on getting that cooldown reduction, so is going to be building that item, but of course having that attack speed reduction is going to be helping against Sky here as well, and Wushin, because both of them, they want to be auto-attack.
Yeah, it's not even bad against MLXG as well. And again, despite the fact that Corki is sort of a caster AD who does use his spells a lot when it comes to damage output, Aluka is almost always going to be in the middle of the enemy team in an ideal team fight, and the aura adds so much to your team's team fighting ability.
That was so cheeky by World Elite. Just sneak in, take away the red buff in about half a second, and then sneak back out again. And Spirit and Ninja are playing beautifully together.
Yeah, UJ is playing well with them as well. This whole trio for World Elite has done wonderful things so far, and the most important thing is what's happening here for STYZ. Picked up his Xehanort just being level 11. He's getting all the space in the world because World Elite are taking over the bottom side where he's trying to farm.
Yep, and even managing to escape here, potentially, as the Dark Passage is going to come through and save STYZ from the bottom lane of King. And King, of course, they're still ahead by about 200 gold. This is by all means still a very close game, but Spirit actually getting caught out just a little bit by that charm, but Lamb all the way out to the side. UJ taking so much damage. King, this might be their opportunity. Foxfire not quite enough. Has Charm going to go wide? Aluka, though, you are dead, buddy. And the frontline tank does fall down. Super Mega Death Rocket not creating as much death as the name might say, as King now able to take this outer turret, you have to think.
Yeah, and despite all the damage that they got onto lane with a great pick there by UJ, he was too low on the Thresh, and Aluka just couldn't soak enough damage at this point in time. He's not that tanky, and King right now, they still have the strong mid-game team. They're actually ahead of World Elite as far as current items go, so World Elite have to pick their fights carefully, and they're actually going to lose a second dragon here because of it.
Yeah, and King playing beautifully now. We'll have to see whether it's going to be enough moving forward. As we get to that 23-minute mark, these Rod of Ages are going to be stacking up, and they have to be careful. Aluka almost having that Frozen Heart here as well. Went for the double Doran's ring when he went for the Catalyst as well very early on. Very interesting. Sort of course, you pick up double Doran's often to have a little bit of extra regen in lane, but you don't really need it when you're going to get that Catalyst early on. And it may put behind his Frozen Heart just a little bit. We'll see whether it works out. Spectre's Cow completed for Sky and the Ninja Tabi as well. So, of course, wants to make sure that Jinx not doing too much damage to them.
Yeah, I mean, Aurelia also probably looking for the Frozen Heart here as well. It's just such a good item, especially on these big bruisers, or in Maokai's case, tanks that are often find themselves gap closing into the back line. The aura is just so efficient when you're sitting in the middle of the enemy team, and Aurelia is almost always sitting on top of your carry.
Oh, yeah. That Blade Surge and the Equilibrium Strike. Going to give her the tools that she needs in order to stay on top of you. And Aurelia's just, her kit is just fantastic for being that diving tank into the backline. That's why she's always stayed relevant. Hasn't actually been nerfed for quite some time, though.
No, which is funny, given that it used to be the long-running joke. But
yeah.
To touch on double Dorans from Maokai here, he just kind of has to do it. Otherwise, Aurelia, who's such a dominant laner when she gets ahead, can start doing what she's probably about to do to STYZ.
Yeah, he's just going to Blades. Oh, he doesn't get the reset, but there are the Chompers. We'll see whether it's enough. Does just use those Transcendent Blades and doesn't even need it coming through, but that could have been terrifying.
I mean, Aurelia, again, so much mixed damage there. STYZ with 0 defensive stats currently. Nothing he can do against all of Aurelia's burst damage.
Yeah, World Elite looking for a pick, but they aren't able to find it. The rest of King are going to move towards this inner turret in the bottom side of the map. 19 seconds until STYZ is up again, and there is a siege minion in this lane. King with a lot of damage, and they steal the blue buff here as well. So they get the pick that they want, just in a little bit of an unorthodox fashion.
Yeah, and very surprising to me is King will take the tier 2 there. The World Elite have all this defensive vision on their red side of the jungle, but not the blue, given that STYZ kept walking down to farm the bottom side of the map. Now at least he can try and freeze the wave deep towards his inhibitor turret, but it's a little weird for World Elite to know that they're feeding farm into STYZ and not give him space by providing vision for him.
Yeah, King, though, they managed to destroy that whole wave on the turret there, so this freeze is going to be quite difficult to create here as Ninja. He's going to return the favor of the blue steel, so that's definitely working out. Wushin going to find out a little bit too late that his blue buff is no longer there. We'll see what World Elite can do, as 4,000 gold has been the lead stretched out by King.
Yeah, and as you can see, the Rod of Age has actually started ticking up to full stacks now on both Maokai and Anivia. So if World Elite do want to try and find a fight, they've actually got a pretty good window to do now. Probably want to wait on STYZ's static shiv so we can have a little bit more action moving forward. But the fact that they did get a dragon for themselves and deny King their third means that when the 4th overall dragon rolls around, World Elite are in a very good spot to contest for it.
Oh yeah, and especially if Aluka, now with the Frozen Heart, has the Null Magic Mantle there as well, building up towards what could possibly either be that Banshee's Veil or the Spirit Visage, which is just so fantastic with his kit. MLXG is going to have to use that tunnel. That wall is very strange.
That was a really cool wall, actually, but MLXG did manage to tunnel back through the back of Baron, and he's done a good job setting up tunnels as well. World Elite kind of need to get some vision down in the jungle, clear out the tunnels at least from their side of the map, and kind of push King back to neutral towards the river, because if they can't get vision around the neutral area, they're never going to contest for this next dragon.
Yep, Sky now, with that Spirit Visage completed, going to help his hidden style out if he manages to free hit in these fights. And with that Ionian Fervor, going to be able to do that quite effectively. Of course, no one going to be able to lock him down for too long. And Sky, he might be what this team is resting on. Of course, this is his Aurelia. This is what he's famed for coming into the LPL. Hasn't quite been able to have the effect that it wants, and see whether it comes through for King.
I mean, for all of the peel that World Elite potentially have for their big jinx here between Thresh, Anivia, and Maokai, Aurelia gets through most of that fairly naturally with her passive. And the Spirit Visage makes her so tanky, especially with the Shroud in there already. Once Sky hits 3 items, Aurelia just goes off as far as overall bruisiness goes. She does a ton of damage just with the Trinity Force, and when you have 2 tanky items and get to the carries always as Ninja.
Yeah, there's the Charm to land on Ninja. Dark Binding here as well, but Assassin, he may be forced to get out as that was beautifully placed. But Spirit Rush going to be easily enough. Sky going to come through with a teleport. Not able to find too much here as Dragon. Oh, there's a flash on Burrow here as well. Ninja, he's going to get it egged straight up. MLXG knocked out of the fight. Lamb tries to Soul Shackles down as Ninja gets caught up. Wushin picks up the kill. MLXG in the front line, but you can see Wushin now just doing so much work in this fight. Aluka's found his way around. Of course, that Orb of Deception, true damage, doing some work onto him, but it's not quite enough. King, they'll take the 2 for 1.
I mean, yeah, they will, but World Elite defended very well moving through that choke, and you can see the potential of STYZ now with 2 items done. He's not quite at 3 items. Oh, Sky gets caught.
Yeah, he's got caught by that one, but might have been a bait here as MLXG comes through. There's the double knock-up. Look at the Phosphorus Bomb damage as well here by Wushin, and MLXG gets taken down solo. So does STYZ, and the red buff picks up the kill. Beautifully done.
Yeah, and Jinx might do a lot of damage, but so does Corki at this point in the game. Can't forget just how much upfront damage a Corki can do. I mean, STYZ, he's just not quite there yet as a hyper carry. They've got, I was going to say comparable gold, and then I got tabbed over, and it turns out he's horribly behind by about 3,000 gold. Jinx just isn't at the hyper carry point yet, and World Elite need to fight slightly more defensively. They really need Vision, honestly, on this side of the jungle here, because they've not been able to keep King from pushing Vision forward and really pushing them back in their base.
Yeah, Spirit going to get caught by a Dark Binding on his way down to this Dragon Pit. It is just alive. Yells at Spirit just a little bit as World Elite come around here as well. Lamb able to get some vision down here on the backside. Dark Binding not going to find anyone. Actually, Ninja gets caught by that one as Preyseeker comes through here as well. Spirit Rush going to be used. Charm lands on the Dragon. And it is definitely very fond of Ari here as he starts trying to yell at her quite a bit. And the rest of World Elite coming around. There's Spirit coming through for one of his Fame Steals, but it resets at exactly the right time. The tunnel going to come through, and MLXG picks up that Dragon as King try and turn back around. Aluka gets caught, but the Flame Chompers are there to try and help him out. Look at that Dark Passage, and World Elite, the disengaged specialists today, able to make this one not come through. Death Sentence going to land, and Sky gets blocked off from his entire team and destroyed. This team is working beautifully together despite losing that Dragon.
So creative there from World Elite to get that pick and stop King in their tracks to push them out as well. Unfortunately, Ninja tried the same trick at the Dragon Pit, almost walled everyone away so Spirit could get some free time with the Dragon, but did get outsmited there by MLXG's Rek'Sai. So World Elite don't get the third Dragon. That's actually a pretty big problem actually for them because they're not going to buy as much time. 6 minutes is a long time in this game when you're trying to farm up your Jinx. So World Elite have to take the loss there, but they did stop all that pressure, and you can just see this team comp does a lot of work, and Ninja, man, his interview is so good.
Yeah, and it's World Elite able to orchestrate the fights here as well. I mean, they managed to pull back, get the fight in a position that they wanted to, and re-engaged exactly when they wanted to. So it's going to be difficult for King moving forward, especially as these World Elite members scale up.
I mean, the issue for them is that World Elite are going to have a lot of trouble keeping Aurelia and Ari out of their team. I don't know which Ninja Electrode item Assassin is going to get. I would imagine Zhonya's just based on how much good zoning there is from World Elite, but basically King are almost always guaranteed to get into the backline eventually here. World Elite have to kite very effectively, and if STYZ can't do enough upfront damage to sort of scare them off, you're never going to win the longer team fights that you're trying to get to, because you're just not going to get to long team fights.
Yeah. Simple as that, but we do have the 3-item power spike here from Woosh, and potentially even 4-item because those Sorcerer Shoes are so important on a Corki. So King have an opportunity to capitalize on that. They are even going to be able to rip through Aluka here with not only the Last Whisper, but also the Gatling gun from Woosh, and really making that armor kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, STYZ is the big loser, unfortunately, for World Elite in this game. He's 2,000 gold behind the Corki, which, as you can see, just translates basically into a full item. I mean, he does have a lot of gold banked up here, but he kind of needs to get his Bloodthirster to get going, and then there's good armor both on Rek'Sai and Aurelia as well, so probably wants the Last Whisper instead, and then does want his Vampiric Scepter. 3.5 items, we like to call it, is really where hyper carries like Jinx get going. And STYZ right now is being completely stifled.
Yeah, wall here just to try and zone everyone out. And actually, Death Sentence onto Assassin, forced to use that Spirit Rush very defensively. Lamb, that was amazing. The kick so that he didn't get the stuns. And Spirit coming around, starting up the Baron straight away just to close some distance. Gets launched so far into the sky, as well as King are trying to hang around here. Look at this Baron. It's already taken about half of its health, because World Elite have just no respect by the looks of things on King. There's another wall to come through. Whoosh and gets caught up. The heal's not going to be enough. And STYZ picks up a kill. And World Elite just know exactly what they can take.
Yeah, insane pick potential there from World Elite, and you can see it again. Ninja and Spirit are setting up so many kills. Unfortunately, can't get the Baron. Actually, the heal forced out there by STYZ because UJ was almost about to die. King might be able to get a counter Baron here, but with Woosh dead for 20 more seconds, probably not. World Elite do have to back off, but again, they get kills, they buy time, and they're starting to creep further closer to the point in this game where they will start outscaling King's comp.
Yeah, this is just getting ridiculous here on this side. And World Elite, I've just been so impressed by Ninja on this Anivia. His walls have been fantastic this game.
Yeah, I mean, look at him there as well, doing a decent amount of damage. He's got a very aggressive build, actually, not going for any other super defensive items outside of Rod of Ages. Just got a Void Staff and a Merlinomicon for plenty of damage. And honestly, just to debuff some of the regen from mostly Aurelia as well is totally fine there. So Ninja really just needs to control a lot of space. He'll do latent damage over time, mostly with his ultimate. And it's STYZ that needs to go big, and he's finally gotten to 3 items.
Yeah, and that borrowed regen coming through from MLXG as well is something that a lot of people underestimate and is fantastic to try and get those grievous wounds on this Rek'Sai so that she doesn't do a funny business and manage to just burrow up and escape.
Yeah, really strong. I mean, look at the King tanks there over on the other side. There are 2 Spirit Visages in both Aurelia and Rek'Sai's inventories. Merlinomicon's a great cost-efficient pickup. It does good damage. It gives you great CDR anyway, but it's kind of almost triple dipping here against how King have set up their front line.
Yeah, and Assassin actually going for a very greedy Rabbidan's death cap here, actually, on Ahri. And I do like that just because she does do true damage with that Orb of Deception if you make sure that it hits on its way back. So not as reliant on magic penetration, but it's going to be when that Void Staff comes through that all of her abilities are going to be really ripping through the members of World Elite.
It's interesting. I mean, you're not really lacking for damage here if you're Ahri. You've got Aurelia, who's doing plenty by herself, and this Corki is doing boatloads of damage. So I don't know if he needs it necessarily. For me, I would like to see Assassin give him something that makes him stickier, like a Zhonya's, because, again, getting into World Elite comes the hard part. Once you're in there, you can just tear them apart. Yeah,
it's true, and making sure that you can get over those walls as well seems to be very, very effective.
But this next dragon's coming up now as well. It would be the 4th, I believe, for King, and would be the 2nd for World Elite. They don't really care about that much about the 2nd one, but they do really care about denying King their 4th.
Oh, yeah, it's very important. You don't want to be put on that uncomfortable timer for that 5th dragon.
And, you know, you mentioned sort of lower damage champions there as well. I mean, they're fine on damage, but maybe they'll drop off a little bit as they move towards the later stages of the game. The 5th dragon is how you really push mid-game comps over the edge. Because, again, 5 dragons takes a while, but 6 times 5 is 30, right? I'm really bad at maths. I'm hoping it's 30.
Yes, it is.
Well, there we go. We did it somehow. And that takes a long game. But if you can continue to snowball that objective using your mid-game power and just keep taking dragons, the fact that you've invested so much into usually what's a 2, or it's, I guess in this case, a 2.5 threat comp to make sure you have enough like damage to win the mid game, you can eventually get that 5th, and you'll sort of naturally outscale them with the dragon buff as well.
Yeah, MLXG actually going to Void Rush through here, but doesn't manage to get this dragon. It was just the Prey Seeker just actually praying a lot to try and actually pick up that kill, and not quite able to. MLXG sort of dropping the ball there. I mean, Void Rush is fantastic for getting you across the map, but you have to use it in time.
Yeah, and again, King to sort of give up a dragon almost lazily, it seems like. World Elite, just right place, right time. There's basically no vision for anyone around the dragon pit. It seems like one ward from King hanging out in the area. I mean, Baron is a big threat when it's on the map. It's actually down now. I think it might be up. World Elite did get...
yeah, it's up.
Oh, sorry, they didn't get the last one. They want to fight around it, though. So that is something that King are obviously concerned about. But Dragon is still important here for King. That's basically the comp they've picked for, is a comp that snowballs the Dragon. And if World Elite keep picking up Dragons, King just add more minutes to the clock that they can't afford to make longer.
Yeah, and Aluka now just happily split pushing with that teleport available. Void Rush, of course, is up every half a second as we just see MLXG rushing here to the top side. They want to pick on STYZ, but he's wise to it at this stage. Hears that Rek'Sai yell and just knows that she's coming for him.
Yeah, and the tanks for World Elite have really stepped up now as well. We talked about Aluka being a little squishier in earlier fights. He's got 3.5 tank items now as well. The roller stacked, he's got his Frozen Heart, and he has his Spirit Visage. And I wouldn't be surprised to see possibly a Randuin's or a Thornwell, maybe even a Sunfire Cape from Aluka. They're all fine choices here to convert that Chain Vest. So plenty of options there coming through for the Maokai. And even Lee Sin right now with his, not Warmugs, actually it was a Randuin, but his Sightstorm plus the Spectre's Cowl, he's a pretty good frontliner there as well.
Yeah, MLXG now with that Thornmail as well, and I have to think that Aluka will be picking that one up. Of course, Thornmail just fantastic, but of course, it's only really going to be affecting Sky and Wushin here, and I don't know, maybe Guardian Angel.
Have to see Spirit though.
Yeah, it takes a full Foxfire here as there's the Charm landing as well. Assassin going far too aggressive, actually just jumps straight into that wall. Assassin, there's a Locket of the Iron Solara to try and help King out, but that's everything down for Assassin now, as this Scuttle Crab just going to get punished by King.
Now, we could see one sort of awkward thing about World Elite's comp. They have a very hard time initiating when Thresh doesn't get a hook. it's rare that I'd say this about a Maokai, but Aluka may have even been better served getting a Righteous Glory this game, because he has a lot of trouble getting in to King's back line. If he'd had any way to speed himself up there, that would have been an absolutely massive team fight for World Elite.
Yeah, and it might be like Talisman of Ascension could have been also a decent pickup here from Yuge. They have opportunities to pick up items to get them in amongst this one. Descent's not going to find anyone, but finds the back of Baron's skull. And Spirit going to be caught by a Dark Binding here as well. Just a lot of milling about here by both of these teams. Unable to quite find the initiations that they're looking for. MLXG going to tunnel under towards his Baron. Actually heading towards Yuge here, who lands the death sentence, but may have actually caused that one on himself. Wushin actually going to evasively Valkyrie over as Spirit takes so much damage. The big one into the backline as well, as a lot of these members are so low, but the disengage is so easy in the jungle here for World Elite.
King keeps picking fights in World Elite's jungle there as well. World Elite, he cutting back to old Ninja.
Yep, the flash on Burrow to come through. Assassin doesn't land the Orb of Deception, but oh my gosh, these rockets from Corki, and that is going to be enough. Actually, incidentally, STY is almost dying there on the back line, and King somehow managed to get the picks they were looking for.
I mean, really nice flash on Burrow there for MLXG. We've seen Rek'Sai be such a good engage tool when people don't expect it. It's pretty short range, it's just a flash, but when you can get in there and surprise someone, it's an instant CC that you cannot reduce with tenacity.
Yeah, and that was just a beautiful disengage coming through from World Elite, but then they split up.
I mean, let's be fair, they got tower-dive by King, so
yeah, I guess.
I do agree that they did split up, but I don't think Ninja was expecting, with his passive up, to die in that situation.
Just a little bit unfortunate here for World Elite, but King, they're going to try and transition into a Baron here as well. MLXG so tanky now with that Thornmail as well. Dark Binding going to find Spirit Wushin. They want the pick, and they'll grab it. Spirit, you're not tanky enough as STYZ gets caught by a couple of ultimates from Sky, but not going to be enough. Of course, MLXG just continued to tank the Baron. He was like, guys, I just want this big purple guy.
Yeah,
kill him.
And they've got the big purple guy. I mean, Ninja here, back with some good items, but not there to use them in the last fight. Will clear out a massive wave for himself. Olivia can store games very well, so World Elite have that option as well. But King have silently crept themselves up to a pretty substantial gold lead here in this game. And I mean, again, King might drop off a little bit, but they still do plenty of damage.
Oh, yeah. Now Wushin turned that BF sword into an Infinity Edge. Yeah. So he might even be able to pick up an Elixir as well. He's doing so much damage.
Yeah, and you can see some of the gold differences here as well. Corki's still about 2,000 gold ahead or so of STY, so that's dropped a little bit there. In the top lane and the mid, it's actually fairly even. Spirit's a little bit behind from the jungle, but he's not too concerned given that he has plenty of gold to work with. Again, King is still looking for their 4th dragon. A World Elite would equal with their 3rd if they could get the next one, but all they have to do is stall and pick the right team fights, because STYZ is starting to get big.
Oh, yeah, he's getting huge. And one really interesting thing is that Wushin did pick up an Elixir, but that was the Elixir of Brilliance.
Yeah, he picked up the blue one. I mean, it makes sense. He scales not well, but enough with AP that it's worth
to pick up. Is it for the tower damage?
It's mostly for CDR, I would guess.
Okay.
Just because, again, he's really putting in all of the caster AD elements in this Corki. He's already got the Sword Shoes for a bit of extra magic damage, which we do see from the aggressive Corki pickups. And really at this point, Wish wants to just do as much mixed damage as possible, as often as he can.
Yeah, but now with the Baron buff on the side of King, they already have an inhibitor down. Look at this Siege Minion doing so much work, as well as Wushin, who has the Trinity Force and just so much damage on this Corki at this stage that it's a little bit stupid. Now Ninja, it's going to be really hard to get that Glacial Storm in the right positions, as there's a triple on Burrow from MLXG as they try to dive through that wall, stopping the extra engage. But Sky coming through for the flank, actually buffing up these super minions, now attacking the Nexus turrets, as half health has already been achieved down here. Sky just tanking everything up, able to throw out some Transcendent Blades just to make sure that he resets his Blade Surge. And this Siege Minion has been alive for an incredibly long time. Sky is being so frustrating for World Elite to deal with. Multiple members are now there. Wushin trying to get some poke damage down, but finally that Siege Minion is going to fall. The rest of King now waiting for their next wave. Here, Wushin getting enough damage down. Descent's on delay him, but I don't think that's the target he wants, as he just explodes here, as Spirit's now incredibly low, and Wushin picks up that kill. Ninja now, Orb of Deception doing so much damage to him. Luca's dying as well. Instantly destroyed. The double now for Wushin. And Sky, he's managing to pick up some more wins, it looks like, on his Aurelia.
Yeah, I mean, that Aurelia that we talked about so much should be able to pick up King a win. The ace gets completed there by Wushin, who goes unbelievably big on this Corki. And King, They looked a little shaky there in the mid game, couldn't quite execute, but again, when it comes to playing together and towards that late game, King plays so well as a team.
Yeah, and if they're not behind, they're able to find the fights that they want. It's these situations when they're able to force their foe into interesting ones, and the fact that even mid-team fight, their decision-making looks fantastic. So huge props to King, but World Elite looking a whole lot better from previous weeks.
I mean, that was a great draft from World Elite and some pretty reasonable execution for them. I feel like somewhere along the way, they forgot that they eventually have to win team fights.
Oh,
and they could never start the fights they wanted to when they didn't get a pick. So maybe some slight, even item picks. It's not draft at this point for World Elite. They just couldn't find a way to get in onto King and really use the STYZ to his full effectiveness. And to be honest, Wushin just kept up so well in that lane, staying constantly ahead of him that even STYZ on a big carry like Jinx just kind of got outscaled.
Yeah, and it's just Corki looking fantastic today, you have to say. 8-1-7 was the performance from Wushin, looking really, really strong. And Liam, he even had a frozen heart as well as that Locket of the Iron Solari at the end of that game.
Yeah, it was actually pretty tanky, which was quite useful as he dived into the front line quite often there. King just executed the end of that game very well, despite, again, kind of a shaky early and mid-game. World Elite, I don't know exactly what it is that they keep doing wrong, but you can see it, they're starting to gain momentum. Yeah. They're confident in their drafts. Nid is playing a lot better. STYZ, actually, that might be the issue. He just keeps having kind of shaky laning phases.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a rough situation. We'll see whether he can turn it around, grab some momentum back as we hop into the second game. But guys, don't go anywhere. We'll have a short break and we'll be back very soon.